नष्टप्रायशो भद्रेषु नित्यं भावत सेवा भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नष्टिके. Shloka number 2. Atyaharasya prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyam cha shadbir bhaktir vinashyati. Translation, and then we'll continue from the purport where we left last week. Translation. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. 1. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. 2. Over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 3. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4. Practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement. Or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5th, associating with worldly minded persons and who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6th, being greedy for mundane achievements. Purport. It's page number 28, last line. The main problem confronting the conditioned souls is repetition of birth, old age, disease, and death. In the material world, one has to work for the maintenance of the body and soul. But how can one perform such work in a way that is favorable for the execution of Krishna consciousness? There's a question. Answer. Everyone requires possessions such as food grains, clothing, money, and other things necessary for the maintenance of the body. But one should not collect more than necessary for his actual basic needs. If this natural principle is followed, there will be no difficulty in maintaining the body. According to nature's arrangement, living entities lower on the evolutionary scale do not eat or collect more than necessary. Consequently, in the animal kingdom, there is generally no economic problem or scarcity of necessities. If a bag of rice is placed in a public place, birds will come to eat a few grains and go away. A human being, however, will take away the whole bag. He will eat all his stomach can hold, and then try to keep the rest in storage. According to scriptures, this collection of more than necessary, which is called as atyahara, is prohibited. Now the entire world is suffering because of it. Hare Krishna. Collecting and eating more than necessary, also called as prayasa or unnecessary endeavor. By God's arrangement, anyone in any part of the world can live very peacefully if he has some land and a milk cow. There is no need for man to move from one place to another to earn a livelihood. For one can produce food grains locally and get milk from cows. That can solve all economic problems. Fortunately, man has been given higher intelligence for cultivation of Krishna consciousness or the understanding of God, one's relationship with Him, and the ultimate goal of life, love of God. Unfortunately, so-called civilized men, not caring for God realization, utilizes his intelligence to get more than necessary and simply eat to satisfy the tongue. Krishna Krishna. By God's arrangement, there is sufficient scope for the production of milk and grains for human beings all over the world. But instead of using their higher intelligence to cultivate God consciousness, so-called intelligent men misuse their intelligence to produce many unnecessary and unwanted things. Thus, factories, slaughterhouses, brothels, and liquor shops are open. If people are advised not to collect too many goods, eat too much, or work unnecessarily to possess artificial amenities, they think they are being advised to return to the primitive way of life. Generally, people do not like to accept plain living and high thinking. That is their unfortunate position. Human life is meant for God realization, and the human being is given higher intelligence for this purpose. Those who believe that this higher intelligence is meant to attain a higher state should follow the instructions of the Vedic literatures. By taking such instructions from higher authorities, one can actually become situated in perfect knowledge and give real meaning to life. In Srimad Bhagavatam 129, Sri Suta Goswami describes the proper human dharma in this way. Dharmasya hi api vargasya narto nartopakalpayate nartasya dharmaika tasya kamalabhyaya hi smitaha. This is a very important shloka. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Hare Krishna. Furthermore, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service, dharma, should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. I'll stop here. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadhamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam bhangam langayate gram yatkripa tamaham bande Shri Gurun Dina Tarinam. Hare Krishna. Such a beautiful explanation given by Srila Prabhupada. Actually, before we go into the details of this, the first line is confronting about the problem, the main problem of the conditioned soul. What is the main problem of the conditioned soul? The repetition of birth, death, old age, and disease. Actually, to be honest, we just don't think about these four problems. We think about so many other problems which are there in this limited purview of our existence. As Krishna clearly indicating, Natva eva ham jatunasam natva neme jana adipaha nachaiva na bhavishyama. Krishna so magnanimously, this is a first instruction to Arjuna. Because Arjuna is kept in a difficult situation, completely bewildered in this material world. And then Krishna says, you do not worry about this, Arjuna, because you are there. You exist. You are there in the past, present, and future. You'll be there in the future also. You do not understand, but I understand everything. That's how he begins. And then through that awareness, it is so clear that whatever problems we have in this particular body, no matter how big that problem is, when we see through the purview of what Krishna is speaking here, they become very futile. They become very limited, actually. That's why our Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, very clearly mentioning here that the biggest problem is birth, death, old age, and disease. So why Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that this is the biggest problem? There's so many problems, right? There's family problems, there's relationship problems, there's health problems. There's so many doctors in this world who are trying to treat the health So many people working. There's engineers, there's lawyers, teachers teaching the kids nicely through their own way, teaching them the material education, which they think that is everything. That is the life and soul. If somebody can eat, sleep, mate, and defend, somebody can earn some money. That's it. That means there is the greatest person in this world. But that through that eating, sleeping, so through those four activities, and then nicely doing them in a closed repository, the thing that is advanced. But if you actually see that advancement is actually taking the sadhaka from the real essence of the life. One of those problems Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here is Atyahara. So what is this Atyahara? Over endeavoring. Prahlad Maharaj gives a very beautiful explanation on this. This is a $1 million statement actually. He says, happiness, distress, if you want or do not want, that doesn't matter, you get it. Because we are born in this world. Even taking birth in this world didn't happen that, oh, let me take birth at so and so time to so and so parents. That didn't happen. Even birth is also taken without our intervention. So likewise, death is also taken without our intervention. Even disease and old age, that is also without our intervention. Can we hold or place? Can we say that let me stop this diseases, or let me stop this old age? Let me stop the hair fall. There is nothing like that here. Everything is driven. Some higher personalities, they are running the show here. We're just like acting like a puppets. So through this endeavor, it is so clear that every living entity, the Jivatma, is been kept in a particular situation. And then he should go through that situation. Everyone has their own problems. But what are we trying to do is we are trying to solve those problems, forgetting the real problem. Everyone is working for maintenance of this body, but nobody is working to combine. Nobody is actually thinking about the soul, and nobody is actually working of how this soul can be lived. There is no question of presence of soul, because if the activities of this entire day is driven on the bodily conception, then when do we think about soul? We would never think about the soul. That is a problem actually. Even while chanting, whatever we did, those things will come into our consciousness. But our real understanding that I belong to the Lord, I should serve Him diligently, that will never come, because that constitutional position is completely away from our existence. So that's so when we really see through this is a real problem, right? Birth, death, old age, and disease. And if we closely observe the principle of Atyahara, what is it doing? It is over endeavoring. Dear devotees, the moment we begin over endeavoring something, then what happens is we will be in a state of anxiety. The moment sadhaka comes to state of anxiety, is kept in the platform of bodily conception. If we actually see, when a person is in anxiety, he breathes heavily. He will not see the presence. He'll not be there in the present moment because he's either thinking about the past or he's either thinking about the future. What is that? He's either kept in the ignorance or he's either kept in the passion, mode of passion. So he will never be in goodness because he's not in his natural state. If we closely observe, Arjuna was also in this state of anxiety. But the thing is, Arjuna know where to go, what to do, how to do. He immediately took shelter of the Lord because he is convinced that this is the only way which will pacify my heart. For example, there's a problem at school or there's a problem at work. Immediately we need to turn to Guru Sadhu Shastra. Immediately we need to turn to what Krishna is trying to help me in this particular situation. That's why when the Shravana Shakti increases more and more, when the relationship with our superiors increases more and more, then what happens is we will actually do what they are doing. I remember my spiritual master telling us very diligently, if there's a problem or an issue, try to see how our acharyas are doing in this situation, or try to see what Krishna is trying to teach us through this lesson, or try to see the presence of the Lord, try to see the presence of our acharyas in that moment. I'll give a beautiful example. Vishwamitra Muni was actually meditating for 60,000 years. His meditation was broken by the sound of Menaka. That Mataji came. When she came, through that hearing, just by hearing that sound, he got agitated. And then that disturbed his tapasya. And then he again began his tapasya. What is the greatest lesson which we learn through this? At every moment, when we see the presence of the Lord and then the presence of the acharyas, then even that sound is also, there is the presence of the Lord in that. Who is that? Mataji came. How does he see the presence of the Lord in that also? He's seeing Krishna in that also. Who is that Mataji? She's also part and parcel of the Lord. So our sadhana has to be that deep that at every moment in our life, we should see that. We should lead our life according to the truth, according to the absolute truth. Every moment, see the presence of the Lord, see the presence of our Acharya. What Srila Prabhupada would have done in that moment. Then immediately we should remember the example of the pastime of Haridas Thakur Maharaj. Now he is also, when Mataji came, what did he do? He said, don't worry, sit, we will chant Hare Krishna together. He did like that for 3 days. This is a conviction this is a conviction which they cultivated in their heart. This is what they aspired. When sadhakas like ourselves, when we are kept in the platform of Atyahara, this will never come. The moment we begin doing over-endeavoring in our life, these kind of consciousness, which is in the pure goodness, this will never manifest. Because we are completely kept in the state of anxiety. Either we are in ignorance or in passion. That's how material nature pulls the sadhaka. A lot of people, a lot of devotees would tell, how I'm doing great, how Maya will not touch me. How Maya can pull? Maya will pull like this through our consciousness. She will not physically come and show Trishul, show the trident. She will act through our consciousness. Because anyhow we have some attachments, she will come through those attachments. Just like Vishwamitra Muni, he was not thinking that this Mataji will come. He was just concentrating. But somehow he was agitated because he was offensive to a Vaishnava. He was offensive to a pure devotee. That is the reason why his tapasya was obstructed. Because he was not seeing pure devotees he was not seeing pure devotees in the way they're supposed to be seen. He has an offensive mentality in his heart. Through that anartha, he had to fall away. So, seeing the presence of the acharyas at every moment, this is the only way to come out of this dreadful situation. And the moment sadhaka comes to the platform of Tyahara, this will never go. And then, when we are over endeavoring, we will never think about these problems, birth, death, old age, and disease. When was the last time we thought about these problems? Birth, death, old age, and disease. No, because we don't see them. I remember my spiritual master telling, once in a while you should go to hospital and then see how people are suffering. Once in a while you should go to crematory and then see how people are dying. Because these are the practical places where we actually see how difficultly they leave the body, and especially in hospitals. Especially in America, there's centers called hospice. What do they do at hospice? At the last stage of their life, what do they get? They are given antibiotics. Why? So that they're in complete ignorance. Through in ignorance, they leave the body. So this material nature will either pull us in ignorance or in passion. It can never bring us to goodness. If a person is in goodness, that is when he can understand what's happening in and out. So that is the reason why we should always hanker to take the association of our acharyas. Dear devotees, I want to share this beautiful example of Srila Prabhupada. He is also hankering. But what is his hankering? His hankering is to please his spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada didn't have money. He has no place where to go. He was trying to print 3 volumes of Bhagavatam before he goes to America. No money, no shelter. It was very difficult. He has to get the papers, he has to review by himself, he has to print it, proofread it, again he has to correct it, again he has to review. All he has to do it by himself. He is the author, he is the reviewer, he is the corrector. Again he has to author it, again he has to review, again he has to correct it. This is what he was doing. And then the sloka which we discussed, dharmasya apyavargasya anartho artopi kalpayate. Nartasya dharmaiki antasya kamo labhya hi smritaha. This sloka he wrote in India. The translation. And then just imagine, he has nothing actually. And then and then he hears that person little far away from the place where he was from the place where he was. He has to drive, he has to travel 5 hours to meet that person. And then that person will give him 4,000 rupees. And then he would collect that 4,000 rupees and then he comes back. He uses that money to print the books. Those days, 4,000 rupees is a big amount of money. He used that a lot. And he was so happy after receiving that money. That person who strived so much to actually give us this Krishna consciousness. If we become sincere, reading his instructions, following them, who is the first person who will be pleased? Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual masters, they will be pleased. They will be very happy with us. If we come out of this principle of Hatyahara. Prahlad Maharaj says, do not worry. Whatever happiness is there in this body, you get that. We don't have to put any extra endeavor. And whatever distress is also there, we are to be destined, that will also be there. So either the happiness or distress, you just accept it. Accept them both same way. Do not be elated when there is happiness and do not be dejected when there is distress. accept both situations, especially when difficult situations come, when we humble ourselves and put our head down and then simply accept this as a mercy of the Lord, we will get great realizations through those moments. We might not get realization at that moment, but we will get realizations at least after 6 months or 1 year, understanding that why Krishna kept this thing in our life. And through that realization, what happens is we become convinced with the process. Our conviction with the process increases. Then we will think about submissiveness, being submissive towards our acharyas, because that is working for us. A devotee who is going through difficulties, he will make far advancement rather than devotee who doesn't have any difficulties in his life. Devotee going through difficulties, problems, issues, he is protected because he's always depending. My dear Lord, thank you. If he understands the truth perfectly, otherwise he will run away from the process. And then Krishna is also very vigilant. If he has a lot of problems, he might run away. He will see what problems has to be given to that sadhaka. Then he will give. Krishna is also very vigilant. He's watching what problems we need to give to him. Because if we are sincerely submitting ourselves to the Lord, our Lord is also there to reciprocate. He will see that everything is rightly been taken care. Every nit and every bit, Lord will take care of us. Just like a child, just like a mother is holding the hand of the child, and then she's taking him to the store. She's taking him to Target. She's holding her hand, and then she's walking. Krishna will hold our hand like that. How? When we follow the instructions of our acharyas. When we follow what Srila Prabhupada says here, what is Krishna will be there with you for sure. Krishna will be there with us. And through his presence, we will know everything. Then there is no question of Atyahara. Atyahara is again state of anxiety. Prabhupada explaining very beautifully. He is giving another example, very beautiful example. I used to think about this example so many times. What is that example? If there is rice if there is grains fallen on the street, then bird will come and eat whatever is required for that bird, and then it goes off. But when a human being would see that, he would carry the whole bag. Why? Because he thinks that I will use this bag for my own thing. Because that bag can be used for 1 month. So, if we actually closely see this is actually intelligence. If I tell this to a material person, he will tell, Hare, he did great thing. Wow, he's lucky, he got that bag. He will tell that, Hare, this person is lucky. Hare, if I was there, I would have got that bag. I was not lucky, but this person was lucky. Again, starting judging. And then that material person, he will tell, oh, okay, this is great. Just see this person, he got this bag. I couldn't get this bag. And he will tell, oh, this is intelligence. But if we closely observe, the bird doesn't have that full knowledge or full intelligence. Her consciousness is not complete, limited consciousness she has. But the human being he is thinking that is complete intelligence. Even though his intelligence is higher than the bird, but still his intelligence is less. How? Because what is he doing? He is actually exploiting the principles of Dharma. He is using that intelligence, but what is he doing? He is trying to exploit the principles of Dharma, the science. So what is that showing? It is a clear indication that it is a sign of Atyahara. Right? Over endeavoring. Let me get more, let me do more. Srila Prabhupada one time tells, he was standing in the floor, he was standing just outside, and then he was just watching the streets. There's cars going left side, left to right, right to left. And Prabhupada told, just see, these people are going from left to right and right to left. They are trying to earn money. They drive like 1 hour, 2 hours to make their livelihood. But technically, they are wasting their time because they are forgetting what is the real problem, which is birth, death, old age, and disease. When Atyahara kicks in, we will forget what is the essence of our life. So, even though the devotees, when they come to the process of Krishna consciousness, they hear about this. What we try to do is we try to fit in those things in our umbrella. That means we over endeavor, we try to find some time and then put, अरे chanting ही करना है ना, I need to just chant. I will fit some time inside within this, and then I will do my thing, whatever I have to do. I hope you are understanding what I'm trying to present. This is very, very important. What even though Atyahara principle is there in the heart, what we are trying to do is we are trying to put the process of Krishna consciousness under this thing, under our realm. But we are not trying to go there. We are trying to bring the holy names here. We are not trying to come out of this the conception of Atyahara, but rather than we want to invoke Krishna in this. Krishna, and then we ask Krishna, Krishna, please help, please give me big job. Please give me that, please give me that. Atyahara. As per what we are destined, whatever we are supposed to get, we will get that. And through our karmic reaction which are there, we will get what we are supposed to get. There's no problem with that. But the only problem is we want to endeavor more. Here, Srila Prabhupada is also endeavoring. But his endeavor is what? Is to print books, 3 volumes. Just to print 3 volumes in India, it was so struggle. It took a lot of struggle. So many years just to print 3 volumes. And nobody was taking back to God in magazines when he was printing the magazines and then giving door to door. Nobody was accepting. But still he did it. Well, he was also endeavoring here. He was also praying to his spiritual master. He was also praying to Krishna, my dear Lord, please help. Give me an opportunity to serve because this is what my spiritual master told me. Let me do this diligently. But this endeavor is in the internal energy of the Lord. That endeavor about what, my dear Lord, please give me more. Atyahara, what is that? This is in the external energy. We are using Krishna for that also. Artho, Artharthi, Jnani, and Jigyasu. 4 kinds of people who are in the need of money, who are in the need of state of satisfaction, who are in the need to state of satisfaction means come out of difficult situations, who is little inquisitive for what's happening. And then the last person was really inquiring, why is this problem coming? Why birth, death, old age, and disease is a problem? And Krishna says, whoever comes to this platform, he likes him so much. Dear devotees, I always think about this. If you closely observe this, dear devotees, Krishna is actually having more endeavor than us to take us home back to Godhead. Actually, he is more ready than us. Srila Prabhupada, our acharyas, our spiritual master, they are more ready than us to take us home back to the spiritual world. All they are waiting is the right attitude and right mentality. This Atyahara has to be given up. Atyahara is in thousandfold, so many ways. Overthinking, over endeavoring, overeating, oversleeping. sense gratification, doing it over. What are all these? They keep us in bodily platform. What is it giving? It will never give anything to our heart. It will never satisfy our heart. We can never realize any of the realization what our acharyas are giving us. Prabhupada is mentioning, Arey, what is this? What this world has given me? It did not give me anything. My so-called family, where are they now? This is the Vrindavan Bhajan. My so-called this, so-called that, so-called property, where is it now? And he's seeing nobody is there around him. He's seeing that through that emptiness, he's laughing out of that situation. And I was telling, just see in this material world, people are suffering so much. Still, they don't realize that there is suffering in this world. Still, they are continuing and doing what they are supposed to do. So, whatever is destined to us, we will get that. Over enduring is not good. The same person who has that intelligence, who collected that grains, that bag of grains, that same person can also use his intelligence to endeavor in advancement in Krishna consciousness because it is the same person again. The moment he takes right association, what he will do? He will endeavor to do what? To be in Krishna conscious. For that, we can think. Actually, for that only we should think. Because when we begin thinking like that, then what is happening? Consciousness is purifying. You remember yesterday we were discussing about very important aspect about how consciousness has to be transformed, how thinking, feeling, and willing has to be transformed. Whatever association we are thinking, that we will get for sure. If you are associating with devotees, if you are associating with our superiors, if you are associating with our spiritual master diligently and then hearing from them attentively, then what happens, dear devotees? We will try to get that consciousness. Because they will gift us that consciousness. The moment a sadhaka attentively hears, that goes into his consciousness. And Prabhupada is clearly mentioning who entire world is doing atyara. And that is the reason there is a problem in this world. Because everybody wants my country to be the top. My country to be the top. Patriotism. Everyone thinks that my family to be the top. My kid has to come first. Or my daughter has to come first. These are all over and over. Whom are we competing with in this world? There's no one we are competing with. But it is only in our consciousness we are thinking that if I don't run, then I will stay away. I will be back if I don't run with this world. If I don't learn new technologies, then I might be back. I might fall away. Why these things are happening? Because because today in the morning also we were discussing about this. If we believe, if we have really conviction that Krishna is there, Krishna is Krishna is my master, Krishna is my maintainer, which all our acharyas are showing us through their life. The moment we realize that Krishna is my protector and controller, then why do we overthink of too many things which is not required? Why do we overthink? Even if you see those animals, they do not have proper intelligence, but they do not think also. But Krishna gave us proper intelligence, higher intelligence to think about what? To think about these things. My dear Lord, how do I come out of this birth, death, old age, and disease? Continuously, this is only a little realm which I am seeing. But there's so much. So many lifetimes have been here. How do we come out of this? I hardly see devotees lamenting for this. My dear spiritual master, I've been kept here for millions of lifetimes. Then how do I come out of this? This is a question we need to ask. My dear Lord, my dear spiritual master, I've been kept here for millions of lifetimes. That means I'm suffering in this lifetime after lifetime continuously. I'm thinking that the little suffering which I'm getting from my family, that is a real suffering, or little problem, or little health issue, that is a real thing. No, 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 those are not the real things. Those are just little part in the big realm. The moment we begin thinking about that small problem, that means what happens? We've been kept in the illusory state of the material nature, which is so powerful, which will pull the consciousness of a sadhaka. And then if the moment we open, the moment we begin chanting, also that will come in the chanting. Because our inner consciousness is covered by that. Oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Why he spoke like that? Why she spoke like that? These are all over and endeavoring. These are all part of Atyahara. And then Prabhupada is mentioning whatever Krishna gives as per the dharmic principles, you simply accept that and move forward in Krishna consciousness. If you're a small teacher, just be a small teacher. If you're a small engineer, just be like that. Just be happy with whatever Krishna has given. Just, just, just continue this life, and then focus more on the principles where we need to focus. Simply, even a sadhaka concentrates more on the process of Shravana Kirtana, and then diligently, when he applies these principles in one's life, then what happens is conviction in the heart increases. That means stability comes. What is that stability? Through that stability, what can we learn? We can learn the heart of our acharyas. Prabhupada also had problems, and he was actually laughing against all his problems. Prabhupada was also kept in a difficult situation. Prabhupada was also kept in a state of fearfulness. How? Through Sumati Morarji Desai and her secretary. Her secretary and Sumati Morarji Desai were telling, Swamiji, Swamiji, if you go to America, you will die. You know what? My secretary is also telling. Because in this old age, America is very, very cold. And Swamiji, you are almost 70 years. It will be difficult for you. Just see, up until that point, Srila Prabhupada struggled so much to print those three cantos, first three volumes, not three cantos, first three volumes of Bhagavatam. So much struggle. And then after all that struggle, he gets an opportunity. And then now this person is telling like this. And then just imagine what would go through the heart of Srila Prabhupada at that fag end of his life, of his age. He boldly said, don't worry about this, about my health. I will be all right. You please send me there. Just see that conviction in the process. I was talking to few devotees who are between the age of 60 and 70. I was asking them this question. Your health is deteriorating. We will also come to that state of 60. Our health will also be deteriorating. But you're trying to practice Krishna consciousness and then chant this Hare Krishna Maha mantra and then read the scriptures diligently and then follow them. You're trying to do this, you will have bodily discomforts, right? Then I said, Prabhupada also had bodily discomforts. But we have everyone here. But Prabhupada didn't have anyone with him. He had to cook by himself. He had to clean himself. He had to go. He had to serve. He had to pray. He had to meditate all by himself. He has to do everything by himself. And then this person, even though he was doing everything by himself, and so many against are coming, still he was fixed up in the process. What might have went through his consciousness to come to that pure state of Anya Abhilashta. No matter what happens, my dear Lord, let me do this diligently for your happiness. What was he going through? This is what we were discussing actually. Because, dear devotees, if you actually closely observe, he was completely out away from this bodily conception. Because his only focus is what? To please his Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. No other endeavor actually. Everything he was doing it for his pleasure. That's why he came in his dreams. Because he was always meditating about him. Why not? He will not come in his dreams. And he's telling him, take sannyas, take sannyas. And then he took it. And this is, then we hear about this, dear devotees. When I always think about this, these personalities are giving their life so much. Is it difficult to leave Atyahara? It's not difficult. It is very easy to leave Atyahara. And then I will immediately tell in the consciousness, Prabhupada, I'll do it for you. Dear spiritual master, you gave me this consciousness to think like this. Otherwise, if you do not give this consciousness to me, then how would I think like this? This would never happen. This would never manifest. Then I will be grateful to him also. And then I will immediately say, I will leave Atyahara for your pleasure. And any service or any instruction which we do for the pleasure of our superiors and the spiritual master, you get unlimited strength. This I write it down. Unlimited strength. No matter what problem comes in our life, we will be strong, we will be bold, thinking that we will see through that problem, we will see how Srila Prabhupada handled. We will see how our spiritual master handled. If we have a relationship, we will think about them. Today I was going to US consulate, that's in Hyderabad, high-tech city, to collect my passport. I was coming from there. I see people are, I don't see much difference between man and a woman there. They're closely connected. Even at a even at a public place, they're intimately connected. Their senses are let loose. I always wonder if people are learning this, then what's going to happen 100? I was thinking about what's going to happen 100 years later. Where will the society go? If somebody speaks about Atyahara after 100 years, people will laugh. Oh, Atyahara, what is that? They will laugh. You should do Atyahara. Through Atyahara only you get happiness. They will laugh. I always wonder if sadhakas who practiced now and then they left the process, and then Krishna mercifully gives another life, and then they come back after 200 years, and then they're born in America or born in India. India is also becoming so westernized now. All big cities are all westernized now. There's no difference. Everyone wants to enjoy, let loose their senses happily. I wonder, like devotees coming after 200 years, practicing Krishna consciousness, if they do not get right association, where will they go? So they will just continue doing Atyahara. In between, they'll chant Hare Krishna, thinking that I'll go back home, back to God. So many people do tell me, I'm chanting na, mera diksha bhi ho gaya. I'm already initiated. I'm just chanting my rounds every day, 16 rounds. I will go back home, back to God. Who told? Shuddhanam is coming. Are we away from Namabhas? Nama Aparad. Just forget about Namabhas is a difficult state. Nama Aparada, to come out of Nama Aparada means one should be free from material inebrities. He should follow all those 10 offenses. Then one will come out of this Nama Aparada. Then what happens? Then the state of Namabhas will come. Namabhas means perfect state. Namabhas is a state of goodness. We'll chant Hare Krishna diligently in a state of goodness. Because we kept away all these things, right? Jamila, he chanted. He chanted Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. That is Namabha. Namabha state. He was not doing offenses. At that moment, at that very moment, he is remembering his son because he had a relationship now. He had a relationship with his son. He was intimately related to his son. Then he was remembering his son. He chanted, Narayana, where are you, my son? That is Namabha state. He's not doing offenses, but that is not also Shuddhanam. Please understand it, devotees. Very, very important. Nama Aparadha state means what? Doing chanting Hare Krishna and making the mistakes which are there in 10 offenses. To be inattentive. So many different offenses. We'll discuss them also in detail when time permits. So when we immediately do that, then it is kept in Nama Aparadha state. But he was not doing that because he was not chanting. He was doing sinful activities, but he's not doing any of those things, but he was just crying out at the fag end of his life. Why? Because he has a relationship with his son. I always think about this pastime, dear devotees. Because if at all we cultivate that relationship with Srila Prabhupada, if we cultivate this relationship with our spiritual master, our superiors, then what happens, dear devotees? We think about them. We think what they have given us. We think what they are doing us. We think what they are giving us in our life. We think about them. The more we think about them, this becomes devotion. We should think what Srila Prabhupada has given. I always think, if this thing is not there for us, then where do we go? We are lost in this world. If nobody is teaching us diligently this thing, we will think that I will do Atyahara and I will chant Hare Krishna. But here it is clearly mentioning the principles which we are discussing. I always think, if my spiritual master so mercifully tells, if you want to preach Neela Govinda, he says, if you want to preach, you should come out of this first. Then you get that conviction, then you get that realization, then you'll get a desire to preach from the heart. Otherwise, the desire will not come. Otherwise, I'll show some slides and then I'll go home and then I'll do my nonsense. That slides is not impacting me only. What that slides will impact to the person who's hearing? This I was thinking a lot. Because my spiritual master told me, you become sincere. Then devotees who come to you, they will also become sincere. Otherwise, devotion will never come. It will not manifest. If we diligently don't remember, don't meditate, don't glorify our acharyas continuously, then how can we come out of these things? The person who has that intelligence he was using, he took the entire grain bag. He's thinking that is intelligence. But what is the real taking? Here, thinking about Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Thinking about the Lord. Just here, Arjuna was also being kept in this difficult situation. Then he had shelter from Krishna. Now Krishna's shelter is coming to us through the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. Dear devotees, whatever comes from the mouth of Srila Prabhupada, that is coming from Krishna. For sure. For sure. No doubt about it. Every line Srila Prabhupada writes, it is the line of Krishna. For sure. Because how every line which Srila Prabhupada is writing is coming from Krishna? How? It's an interesting aspect. How every line which Srila Prabhupada is written is coming from Krishna? Because Srila Prabhupada is so selfless. Selfless means no, me. Complete selfless. And what is he doing? He's simply repeating the instructions of his spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And then what is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur doing? Complete selfless. What is he doing? He's also repeating the instruction, what he heard, what he learned from his father. from his beloved spiritual master. He had two spiritual masters, his father and his spiritual master. Both are spiritual masters for him. Completely. They do not have anything else in their life. Just this. This is called purity. That's what Srila Prabhupada says. Come to the platform of pure devotion. Be pure. Hear pure, do pure, eat pure, sleep pure. Everything has to be pure. Then do you think Atyara will come? Why am I telling all these things? To come out of Atyara. Why? There's no question of the moment we think about Atyara, we should remember Srila Prabhupada. You should remember his instructions. Then why it will come? Then in the heart it will tell, अरे यार मैं कुछ प्रॉब्लम कर रहा हूँ, मैं कुछ गलत कर रहा हूँ. I'm doing some mistake in my heart. My heart is not accepting me, because the more we hear, dear devotees, heart will not accept. That is the first sign that we are hearing attentively. What is the first sign of hearing attentively? Heart will not accept. You will tell, I've written many times to my spiritual master, I told, my dear spiritual master, my heart is not accepting this. I cannot take this. Cannot take this. I cannot do sense gratification and continue Krishna consciousness. No. We cannot do both. That means if a sadhaka is doing sense gratification, also continuing Krishna consciousness, means what is that? That means that Krishna consciousness is also in sense gratification. For example, there are two boats. This is going. A person who is intelligent, he's trying to put one leg here on the left boat and one leg on the right boat. And then he's trying to balance. What is this? This is spiritual life. This is material life. He's trying to balance spiritual life and material life. We hear so many times devotees telling, right? You need to balance spiritual life and material life. How many times we have here? We have heard so many times, right? But if you go like this, if there is a wave in between, if there is a wave, then this boat goes like this. And then your leg is here, your another leg is here. Can we balance now? There's a wave. We cannot balance. That means we either has to come into this boat or to this boat. Otherwise, we will fall in water. So an intelligent person, what he will do? He will either take shelter of spiritual life or the material life. He cannot do both. But based on his intelligence, based on his conviction, based on his consciousness development, he will take that route or this route. He cannot take both routes. That means even though that we begin initially through that, devotees will tell, okay, initially that's okay, you can put both, you can just try to balance both material life and spiritual life. But after some time, either material life should be there or spiritual life should be there. Because if both cannot sustain, because heart we will not get rest, we will not get satisfaction in the heart, dear devotees. That is for sure. Because unless and until satisfaction is not coming in the heart, we cannot continue the process. So an intelligent person, what he will do, he will take a right association and then hears from that association daily, diligently. And then what happens? Then he will change his gears. He says, yes, I'm hearing, I'm understanding now. I will jump into the spiritual life. And then his entire life becomes spiritual. He's working for Krishna. He's reading for Krishna. He's eating for Krishna. He's sleeping for Krishna. Sleeping for the acharyas, for their happiness. Is because there's no selfishism. It all comes to the platform of selflessness. That is the reason Krishna empowered Srila Prabhupada. And then Krishna personally wrote through his heart. All the words, these are words of Krishna. These are not, Prabhupada says actually, Krishna has written all these words. Because why Krishna is using Srila Prabhupada? He couldn't use so many people, right? Why only Srila Prabhupada? He gave everything. He kept everything in Krishna consciousness. For example, if there's a share market, if somebody is expert in the share market and then he's your friend, he will come to your home and then he'll tell, oh, you invest on this $50,000, this company, you'll get $1 million. 100,000, whatever. You'll get $80,000 or something like that, whatever number. Then immediately, oh, this person is great. I will immediately, I have 100K. I will put 100K. You get the returns, right? So Srila Prabhupada heard from his spiritual master, become Krishna conscious, practice this process diligently, preach this message of Krishna consciousness, become selfless. That's it. He immediately jumped on that. Hare Krishna, he accepted it. Toto, he did everything. Krishna was so pleased with that. That's why he is writing all these instructions. So a lot of devotees will tell, how can I see the presence of the Lord? Through the Acharya's heart. As simple as that. Through the heart of the spiritual master, we will see the presence of the Lord. Krishna is there. Who says Krishna is not there? Krishna is there. Krishna is not just there in the altar. Krishna is not just there in the altar. Krishna is there in a pure devotee's heart also. Actually, Krishna is present in the pure devotee's heart will give more conviction and satisfaction to us. And that conviction comes through Shrunvata Sakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtana Ridantasya Bhadrani Udunoti Suhrutasaha. This is a secret, dear devotees. This is a secret to come out of Atyahara. Dharmasya apivargasya. I'll read this. I didn't realize the time, it's already 1 hour. So what I will do is I'll quickly read this translation and I'll see if anyone has any questions. Please hear this attentively. All occupational engagements is referred to dharma. Like we are doing software job, somebody is a doctor, somebody is a teacher. What are these? These are occupational engagements. That is your dharma, okay? Are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. That means our activities, our software job is meant to be ultimate liberation. How is our software job meant to be for ultimate liberation? It's an interesting. If that occupational duty is done for the pleasure of the Lord, for the pleasure of the Acharyas, then it is meant for ultimate liberation. That is a key. Please understand this. They should never be performed for material gain. Next thing. What are they telling? They should never be performed for, means material gain means for atyahara. Should never be performed for material gain, right? Furthermore, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service, one who is engaged in the ultimate, so occupational engagement, how come the occupational engagement is transformed into ultimate occupational engagements? Ultimate occupation, Prabhupada didn't say engagement, he said service. How come it is transformed to ultimate operational service, occupational service? You just work for Krishna. The software job, 9 to 5 software job, the moment we begin working for the Lord, for the pleasure of the Acharya, that means I go to office to please Srila Prabhupada. That means I go to Acharya to please my spiritual master. That means I go to the office to please Krishna. If that is my goal, then what happens? The occupational engagement is transformed into ultimate occupational service. Now, how do I please them? It should be practical. Proper says in Nectar of Instruction, 50% of the salary has to be used in the service of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Hare, this is a big thing here. बहुत बड़ी बात बोले आपने. 50% is बड़ी बात है. 100K में 50K. That's a lot. Then occupational engagement has to be transformed into ultimate occupational service. How is it being transformed? We are convinced, my dear Lord, you are my whole proprietor. You are the source for all of these things. You are my maintainer. Ultimate occupation service should never use material. And dear devotees, whoever, if a devotee comes to the platform, this is Shuddha Bhakti. The devotee is coming to the platform because his entire day is Krishna conscious. And then if he really is convinced with the process, and then if he puts that 50%, then what happens, dear devotees? Does he do sense gratification? No, sense gratification is gone. Gaya wo. Pura gaya wo. गायब हो गया sense gratification. There's no sense gratification anymore. That is when he says, should never use that material gain to cultivate sense gratification. How practically material gain to cultivate sense gratification is removed? When we use our Lakshmi in the service of the Lord. Hare Krishna. This is a secret. So, I remember when I began doing that 50% in my life, I was so happy. So happy. That's why Krishna consciousness is so blissful process, dear devotees. I always wonder, by giving, how there is happiness that every person will experience when he begins doing it. It's a beautiful experience. See, Lakshmi Devi, where is Lakshmi Devi sitting? The Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu is sitting like this, and then Lakshmi Devi is pressing his legs. Lakshmi Devi will also be so happy. This person is becoming a devotee now. Hare Krishna. So beautiful, dear devotees. This is slowly, then the moment we begin working for the Lord, slowly what happens is conviction in the process increases. We feel that I am also there. I am also part of Krishna consciousness. We don't feel that we are separate from Krishna. We don't feel that these instructions are not connected to me. No, we feel that Prabhupada is telling to me. My spiritual master is telling to me. He is actually speaking to me directly. Oh, wow. This is beautiful. Okay? If this is the case, then sense gratification is nothing actually, because what is happening? Vishya vinivartante niraharasya deha rasavarjam rasopyasa param dishta nivartante. What is happening? The higher taste is coming. When the higher taste comes, what happens? Lower taste is diminished. We will kick sense gratification out, and then we will perform to satisfy the senses of the Krishna. That is why it's called as Govinda. Govinda means what? One who gives happiness to the senses. Do we ever thought about this? That Govinda, this Govinda is there. I'm calling Govinda, but why my senses are not happy? Why my senses are not satisfied? Why am I still anchoring for sense gratification? Why this is not satisfied? Why this is not giving conviction to me in the process? Why is it like this? That means there is some problem somewhere. That means either our association we are not taking correctly, or we are unable to understand the teachings of the Lord. Both the things are happening. But if these two things are corrected, dear devotees, then what happens is the Govinda, the name itself, it gives satisfaction to the heart. Senses will be happy. Otherwise, senses will be agitated. Wow, agitation is a dreadful condition for the senses. Dreadful condition. Then naturally what happens? Then naturally we want to serve. Then we want to please our acharyas, want to please our superiors. Their relationship is established. Then we will see, then we'll see the presence of Srila Prabhupada and his selfless services. Will meditate on those things, and then we aspire for that. Because abhi thoda taste hai na. The moment sadhaka releases some taste to the process of Shravana, then what he wants to do. Then it comes. Hare Krishna. So I will stop here. Anyone has any questions? I hope I did not bore any of you. I hope you are not bored through the conversation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji.
All goes to Prabhupada. Yes, please tell.
Prabhuji, today my takeaway from your class is that we'll follow the acharyas, we follow the Srila Prabhupada's mission, and by following acharyas, by following the superiors, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, we have to tune our endeavor. Our endeavor will be there in our heart, but we have to tune our endeavor to the doing more service, hankering for more service towards Krishna. So that way we can control our utyahar, and we can transform our material utyahar to the spiritual utyahar, doing more service for Krishna, doing more and sincerely praying to the Lord and asking the help of the Lord. Krishna, please help me. If I get distracted, please help me. And so that I can continue doing service and leaving all those material endeavors. I mean, I cannot leave, but I can I, if I can control. So, Prabhuji, that's my takeaway from your class. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Thank you. Because actually, we cannot control. We cannot control our senses. We cannot control our mind. Because Arjuna also tells in Gita that, my dear Lord, I can control the wind, but I cannot control the mind. That is a fact, actually. But it is through their mercy we can control them. That Govinda, that conviction, how that conviction will come? That when I begin serving the Lord, my senses are automatically satisfied. How that conviction will come? The conviction is given to us. We cannot get that conviction through our services, through our actions, through our activities, through our efforts, through our association. Then we get that conviction. Then the mercy, they will give that mercy. And through that mercy, we can get up early in the morning and chant our rounds. We can do our Shavana Shakti will increase. Our association, we will only take Krishna conscious association. We will not take other association. That will be diminished. We will endeavor more to serve more. Because this life is very, very, very limited. And then we will always pray, Lord, my dear Lord, Parikshit Maharaj had 7 days. I don't know whether I have 7 moments or not. Please, please help. I know this is difficult because I've been kept in a difficult situation. Because to be honest, we don't know how much time we have. So we need to pray, my dear Lord, please give me an opportunity so that I can come to the platform of surrender and then serve the acharyas very, very diligently. Because if this life is gone, then that means I've wasted everything. Please, please, Krishna, please help. Dear devotees, prayers do work. Prayers do work. This is a prayer. Through this discussion, this is a prayer is coming. My dear Lord, please help. Please help. Parikshit Maharaj had 7 days. I don't know whether I have 7 moments. Please help. Please help. I'm trying to balance. Please give me a right attitude so that I can take up the spiritual life more sincerely and more seriously. If we develop that relationship with our superiors, wow, that is the greatest blessing. Then what happens? Then we aspire for that association more and more. We hanker for that association more and more. Then what happens? What happened to Ajamila? He got another opportunity. Because he had relationship with his son. Right? We discussed about that. He had relationship with his son. Through that relationship, he chanted Nama Bhas. That means without any expectation. That is not Shuddhana. But he was not doing any offenses. Through that relationship only he was able to chant. Just like a child is crying out for the mother. They're very selfless. So likewise, we need to develop that relationship with our acharyas. Acharya Upasana. With our spiritual master, with our superiors. When we develop this relationship, then what happens? Then we will aspire to take their association more and more. If there is free time, we will quickly open up Nectar of Instruction. We'll read through what we discussed. And we try to apply those teachings because we don't know. Our time is very short. Dear devotees, if we do this to our heart, you get everything. Prabhupada will be immensely happy. I remember I remember, I want to tell this beautiful instruction. Srila Prabhupada is actually waiting for devotees like you. Waiting for what? If we come to the platform of, when we come out of this selfish motives or selfish whatever, and come to the platform of selflessness, he's ready to give so many services to all of us. So many services. Because he's just waiting for the right consciousness. The devotees, trust me, whoever comes to the platform of selflessness, he will see so many services. Because the heart is pure now. When the heart becomes pure, what he aspires to do pure devotion. Yeah, tamam prapadyante. Then at that time he will see the reciprocation from the Lord. Krishna is ready, he is ready to come. And he will show that mercy and then move forward. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Baswati Mataji. Anyone else would like to add anything?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, and I'm all praise to Shri
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much,
Suvalpa
Prabhuji. Wonderful, wonderful thing, Prabhuji. It's very interesting and also, thought-provoking because in our daily life, we do, after listening to you, we do a lot of, I think, pratyahara, but we have to limit that and try to, contribute to the Srila Prabhupada's mission. Prabhuji, and also you mentioned how we have to, do the seva. If we increase our service attitude, automatically the material things will diminish and we'll get more, Krishna prema. Prabhuji, any practical tips for, reducing atyahara? Of course, you are already given, but wanted to hear more from you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Another important aspect is the moment we think about Atyahara, if you understand that if this is taking away from my spiritual master, from my acharyas, if a sadhaka has a deep relationship with them, then what happens is he will be fearful. He will be fearful to think about Atyahara. Watching YouTube, he will be fearful doing that. Because it might begin watching a devotional video or whatever it is. And then slowly, what happens is the desire to do more will manifest in the heart. That's another way a sadhaka is pulled away. Practically, YouTube, Facebook, seeing that short videos. It's only 1 minute now. Let me just go there. The moment we open YouTube, we should remember Srila Prabhupada. We should remember this is the relation, just like Ajamila remembered his son. That was a calamity for him. Death is the greatest calamity. These are the small calamities, small problems, YouTube and all these things. They look small, but actually they degrade our consciousness so much actually. Because whatever videos you see, that will come in the next day morning chanting. Whatever we see, that will come. Oh, let me do this, let me do that. They all manifest in the heart. And then the moment they manifest, Krishna is not present in our chanting. We should feel so sad, my dear Lord. Today's day is gone. I did not chant diligently. I did not hear your names diligently. I was not able to do at least this small seva for your happiness. What will I do? What will I do the other services? The other services, there's no consciousness while chanting, then what kind of consciousness we will have while doing the services? That's why more important than services is with what attitude we are doing that services is important. That means the sadhaka has to concentrate more on the consciousness before the service. If a sadhaka concentrates more on the consciousness, for example, if Mataji is cooking, so Shilpa Mataji is cooking now. So if the Mataji is cooking, if devotees are cooking, then what happens is the consciousness goes into that, right? If the consciousness is right, then what happens? Krishna will be happy with that endeavor. But if the consciousness is not right, then the service will not be a service. So those are all practical examples actually. Day-to-day life. We are going out, we are driving the car. What are we hearing? What are we thinking? Are we contemplating on the truth? Are we meditating the truth? Or are we thinking of something else? See, dear devotees, wherever our focus, that is what we will become. If our focus is that, if our focus is Krishna conscious, if our high priority is Krishna conscious, 24 hours we will think about that only. You're going in the train, you'll think about that. I was just thinking, what's going to happen to this society after 100 years? Cats and dog societies, that's it. Sense enjoyment is rampant actually. So rampant now in Hyderabad. Oh, Hyderabad has advanced so much in 20 years. I came to US in 2006, almost 18 years back. Those days, Hyderabad is so different. Now, after 18 years, it is so totally changed. What to speak of just in 18 years, there's just change. What to speak about 100 years? Then an eagerness will come. Hare yaar, if I do not complete Krishna consciousness in this life, then I have to take up another life. I don't know whether I'll get another human birth or not. I don't know whether I'll get another chance or not to be Krishna conscious. I don't know. There's no guarantee. Who's giving a guarantee? Is there anywhere written that if you're initiated, you'll go back home Bhakti Godhead? It's not written anywhere like that. A sadhaka will go back home back to Godhead when he becomes pure devotee. When he comes to the platform of pure devotion. That means he does everything for the pleasure of the Lord. Because that's what they do in the spiritual world. That consciousness we are developing through the process of Shravana. Brahmanda Brahmita Kona Bhagyavanji, Guru Krishna Prasad Bhaktilata Vish. That's why is most fortunate. Why? What does it mean, most fortunate person? Who is the most fortunate person? Who gives up this Atyahara? He is most fortunate person. This is a shackle actually. It will be a struggle, dear devotees. What is the struggle, dear devotees? The struggle is the sadhaka is aspiring to become Krishna conscious. And on the other side, his wife will tell, let us buy another home. He already has one home. He says, no, ek aur kharidenge. Then it's a struggle. On one side, he will hear, no, I should surrender. Saradharman Parityajya. On the other side, he will hear, ek aur ghar kharidna hai. We need to buy another home. Surrender honge, baad mein honge. Now you will tell your wife, no, we should surrender. No, she will tell, we'll surrender later. Or vice versa. I'm not against husband or I'm not against wife. Vice versa. This is a struggle. This is what are we trying to do? On one side, we're putting one leg in material life, other side putting one leg in spiritual. And we're trying to balance. Thoda ye karenge, thoda ye karenge. Arey, that will never work, dear devotees. I'll give another example. Krishna, he tells Pandavas, you go to all the holy places. And then, what do they tell this? He gives I'm not getting that right word, but he gives a plant which is, cucumber. He gives a cucumber. He tells you dip this cucumber in every holy dham, and then you come back. Then Pandavas would go dip the cucumber in every holy dham, and then it comes back. And then he said, you cook this. And then that is not tasty. Then Krishna says, see, even though if this cucumber circumambulated all the holy places, still there is no taste. Because why? Because cucumber never realized what it has to do. So likewise, sadhaka, you should come to this platform of leaving these unwanted things. Because I always think, Arey, if I get 200K, 100K is more than enough for me to survive in America, my family, taking an apartment, taking care of them. That's more than enough. And even in that 100K, I can save something because I don't eat outside. There's nothing like that. Eat Krishna Prasad, you save a lot of things. There's no movies, there's no this, there's no this, there's no that. There's no unwanted things. There's no cruise thing. There's no going to Europe for a trip. These things are not there. I go once in a while to Vrindavan whenever my spiritual master calls. And this is it. This is more than enough for me. I don't have to buy a big home. I'm happy with what I have. I can become Krishna conscious devotee. And then I can use this service, can use this in the service of the Lord. If Lord wants to remove the job, he will remove the job also. Because we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So accepting every instance, every situation, just like that, by depending on the Lord, by depending on the Acharya, by depending on the spiritual master, and then move forward in the life. Then why do we deal with Atyahara? We don't deal with Atyahara. Dear devotees, what happens is, when a sadhaka comes to the platform of Atyahara and then is dealing that Atyahara, then what happens is, his spiritual life is affected. Very important, dear devotees. Atyahara, which one is affected? The internal, the devotee aspiring to stay in the internal energy, that is affected. Because we cannot remain in internal energy, because Atyahara is pulling us. That's how material nature would work. Material nature is pulling the sadhaka and then keeping in the external energy. And then through that Atyahara, what happens? It is not just Atyahara, it will create new attachments. That's another biggest problem actually. It will create new attachment. We will become, then we will attach to the home, then we will attach to a property, then we will attach to car, then we will attach to this, that, so many things. Then there is no attachment to our acharyas, which they gave their entire life actually. And Prabhupada is not telling you give everything. He's telling just begin giving something. That's what he's telling. Through beginning, when a sadhaka begins giving something, then what happens? A relationship is developed. Again, we'll take the same example of Ajamila and his son. He had a relationship. He chanted. Then he got another opportunity. Through that opportunity, he realized that, Arey yaar, what I'm doing, this is so bad, which I did. I shouldn't do this. It's a problem. Then he realized, then he left everything. And then that means we don't have to leave where we are. We have to stay where we are. We need to connect our family also in Krishna consciousness. We need to give love to them. If we do Atyahar, kids will also do Atyahar. For sure. For sure, if you are watching some movies, they will also come and sit watch with us. For sure. I remember a devotee was telling me, he was telling, if I do not watch movie with my son, he will watch movie with his girlfriend. And he said it's a fact actually. Then I was just thinking further, if that son was not habituated to watch movies, then there is no question of going with a girlfriend. That means if son is learning to watch movies, that means father or mother is also inspiring that, giving that motivation. Or he's learning, or he's taking that motivation from school. Father and mother might be practicing Krishna consciousness diligently, but the son might be taking association at school. That's a problem again, right? So wherever we are associated, that is what we will become. Very important. So we need to find ways and means how our kids and we are not engaged in that Atyahara. and then move forward. That is another very important aspect which we need to think about. Because when we think more about this, dear devotees, Krishna will give intelligence. Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yanamam upayantite. When we remember our superiors, our spiritual master, Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, and when we begin thinking about them for their pleasure, let me do this. Because nothing gave me happiness in my world, doing my own things. But the moment when we begin doing things as per Guru Sadhu and Shastra, that is the whole point, right? Why Srila Prabhupada started that concept of schools. Why? Because he wants his children, his grandchildren to be grown in Krishna conscious. That was the idea. Because he wanted these children do not, because they are Goloka children. He wanted these children have to be grown very nicely. It was his motive. Because he didn't want to lose them. He wanted to have everyone taking up to the process of Krishna consciousness diligently. That was the reason why he opened up those schools. So slowly but steadily, we should take the association diligently, and then we should see what can be done so that we do not fall prey to the Atyahara, so do our family do not fall prey to this Atyahara. This we need to think more and more. Hare Krishna. Is that okay, Prabhu? Or did I spoke something, some extra?
No, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very practical. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please forgive me if I used any heavy words in between. So please excuse me if I caused any inconvenience to my speech. Because this is one of the greatest lessons which I learned from my spiritual teacher. Because he gives so much relationship, and then he speaks little heavy, and then he says at the end, please excuse me if I'm a little heavy, because I don't want to trouble or cause any inconvenience to your heart. But in the meantime, I do not want to compromise on the truth. So it is little, it's always a struggle to tell the truth and also not to lose any devotee. So that's my takeaway. So please, dear devotees, this process is very, very bona fide, very authorized, very authentic, very practical process. Krishna consciousness is a great way to elevate our consciousness to become happy in this world. Dear devotees, I will tell one thing. When we become more and more sincere, staying here, we will realize spiritual world consciousness. It is given as a gift to us by our acharyas. Staying here, we can realize that consciousness. For that, we have to give up some unwanted things. We'll realize that also. Hare Krishna. Anyone else would like to add anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanat Pranamal Krishna Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Radha Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So wonderful nectar. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And yesterday I was contemplating on the comparison you gave for the tree, that tree, the seed fructifies, it will become a plant and it will give fruits. Now one day it will also dwell and fall. The same way human beings. And when I observe the species, every living entity, they will do the same thing. In the material world also, all the human beings doing the same thing, like getting married, having kids, earning money, saving property, future plans, insurance, and everything. So everybody has to leave this world one day. But what is remaining in the eternal is our bhakti, our credit for doing bhakti. So that's the only thing. But doing that bhakti, managing the material thing, it's not easy, Prabhu. Yeah. So we think we can balance both, but it's very, very hard sometimes. And to get that more seriousness in bhakti, even though practicing for so many years, we think, yeah, we still have time. Okay, we still have time. But the days are going like that, years are going like that. That seriousness is still not coming. Yeah, by praying to the acharyas that you mentioned, and by like doing more sadhana internally, cleansing our heart, that will definitely help, Prabhuji. So please add some practical tips, Prabhu. How can we become more serious in bhakti, even though we are doing 16 downs and chanting and following the 4 regulative principles? Sometimes we'll get the association of our neighbors or some colleagues or somebody who is not spiritual, but who encourages us to do the things like doing a job or saving more and doing 2 jobs. Like those kind of things will be there. But spirituality is completely opposite of that. Yeah, not atyahara. We do little and we do more bhakti. So how can we understand that? How can we get conviction that we can tell them that this is the way of life that we need to live, to get in ourselves satisfied that what we are doing is the correct.
Actually, whoever comes to the platform of following the acharyas, following the spiritual master's words, then what happens is, the first thing which happens in his life is he gets shakti. He gets conviction in the process. Even the little stuff which we do, he gets that conviction through that little stuff. And then through that conviction, he will realize that Krishna is there. He will realize that Srila Prabhupada is there. Still he is there through his words. He will realize that my superior, my spiritual master, my spiritual teacher, he has shown me this way. He will realize that. Then what happens is, slowly, the relationship thickens. For example, you boil the milk, Amma. Yesterday, my mother was boiling the milk. It was on a low flame. And then what happened is, she forgot. She was doing her Shravana Kirtana. She was absorbed in her chanting. And she didn't realize. And then after 40 minutes, I went into kitchen, I've seen, oh yeah, this is still running. And then the milk became so thick. It became golden color, Gauranga Mahaprabhu color. Golden, right? Became thick. Then I was thinking about that. This is what our acharyas ask us to do. To contemplate more and more. To hear more and more. To understand more and more. To deepen our faith. To deepen our conviction. How do we deepen our conviction and faith in the process? By applying these things. How do we apply? From today, no more atyahara. So when we deal with outside people, how do we deal? We deal with that way only. How? We will not just completely avoid them. Neither we will not just completely take their association. Achinta, Beda, Abheda, simultaneously one and different. At a moment we will be close to them. At a moment we will be far away from them. We should be like that. How is that happening? We'll be nice to them. We will give our association, but we don't take their association. That means what happens is, when the conviction is increasing, what do? We either tell them or we avoid them. The telling process will come as a conviction when we are convinced with this process. And that will come eventually. The more we hear, the more we take association, the more we submissively follow this instruction, we get realizations for sure, dear devotees. I will tell you, we will see the presence of our acharyas today. For sure. Srila Prabhupada is there today also through his instructions. And Prabhupada mentioned, right, in the discussion which we discussed, Prabhupada is mentioning that when we follow simple living and high thinking, people will think that we are going away. And Prabhupada says, we are actually not going away, but we are actually going closer to Krishna. We are actually not going away. When we do simple living and high thinking, we are not actually going away. We are not actually deviating from anything. Because material world is doing so many things. It is showing so much profit, adoration, so many things. But we are actually coming closer when we begin doing or following the instructions of our acharyas. When we come closer to the process, that conviction will come. And even the following also, dear devotees, that will also happen naturally. If we are sincere to ourselves, that will happen naturally. The more we hear, the more we try to apply, the more we will follow. The more we put in action, then we get the reciprocations. I will tell one deep conviction which I had when I began serving my spiritual master. I will tell one example. It was a few years back. When I began serving my spiritual master, I did not immediately give 50% from my salary, but I began with 30%. I remember those days. I began giving 30%. Then what happens? Immediately, dear devotees, until that point, there was no hike or there was no promotion for me. Immediately after doing that, I got promotion. So then later, why Krishna gave that, I realized later. Because why Krishna gave that is, he wanted to show that the moment you are serving my devotees, I will give you reciprocation. That is one way to increase that conviction. And then that might not happen to every devotee in that way. Because every devotee is different. Every devotee is unique because every devotee has a relationship with the Lord, with the acharyas. So things will manifest in a different way for a different devotees. But one thing is sure, the moment we begin doing a service, a seva, then what happens, dear devotees? We get conviction to zarur aayega. We will get conviction in the process. That faith, Shraddha, Shabda, Vishwas, Shraddha, Nishya, that faith in the process will be increased, for sure. There's no doubt about that. That's what Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, right? You can cook some vegetables, should offer it to the Lord, be simple, we lead a simple life. We don't have to do much endeavor in this world. Just get that happiness, give that happiness to the family. They will also be satisfied. So slowly, external endeavors will be cut down. Internally, we will work on the consciousness. Internally, we will think. Just like you just mentioned it. The tree, it grows and then it dwindles, right? After a certain period of time. So do we. We are also in that situation. We are also in that boat. So before we dwindle, let me use this life for the Lord. Let me use this life for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. Let me do this. That's all. That's the motive. So one service, if he is happy through one service, pranipatena pariprashrana seva. See, the service factor will come as a conviction to the heart when we develop that deep relationship with them, our acharyas. Srila Prabhupada has given so much, actually gave us his life. If we understand this, then a day will come in our life. The more we begin hearing, the more we understand, the more we contemplate, the sincerity levels will increase. And then we will begin to do a seva without any expectation. That is a motive. Anya abhilashita shunyam. Because Krishna wants that. Krishna wants a condensed milk. Because it is thick. It has gone through so much beating up. Now it is condensed, it is thick, it is ready. It is ready to be offered to the Lord. My dear, thank you. And we want to be that. We want to become an instrument in the hands of our acharyas. That is our life and soul. And when that is there, do we ever think about any other materialistic capabilities? We will never think about those things. They will go far away. They will not stay. Through that conviction, we will realize Krishna is present. We will realize that also. And eventually, through that conviction, through that process of understanding the absolute truth, Krishna is more than happy to take us home back to God. It is a perfection of everything. It is a perfection. Hare Krishna. Amma, is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else would like to add anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanvat Pranam, all blessed to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you
Hare Krishna.
thank you for the wonderful message, Prabhuji, and answers to the question also. One question, Prabhuji. So for grihasthas, it's the responsibility of the grihastha is to invite the devotees and take care or serve the devotees as they come in. So to the example that you give, yes, the apartment and a house, yes, that is correct or real or ideal. But practically, if we have to serve the Vaishnavas, yeah, we don't need to have a super duper luxury home, but then how do we serve the devotees in a grihastha ashram, where the main motto is to serve the Vaishnavas? How practically should we apply that? I want to know more. Not sure if it right now it's 8:30, but if you are comfortable to.
Actually, just please give me one moment. I'll be right back.
Okay.